Stewards going around with face masks, so if you need a face mask, people will come round to you. Now, British complicity in Palestine isn't just a historic colonial thing. 6 months before the 2014 assault on Gaza, where 2,000 Palestinians were massacred, 70% civilians according to the UN, our government provided £7 million worth of arms to Israel. So when people say that protesting in the UK doesn't make a difference, of course it does. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in this country. And the other thing is, standing in solidarity with the Palestinian people is the best thing that we can be doing right now. Because it's not going to come from the governments, it's not going to come from the media organizations, it's going to come from the bottom up. And that's the way we change anything. That's how we defeated apartheid in South Africa, and that's how we are going to defeat apartheid in Palestine.
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine! Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Our next speaker today is Atiq Malik from Liberty Law Solicitors, a local activist who has been consistently standing up for the Palestinian people. He's involved with a range of causes. I call Atiq Malik to the stage today.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
From the river to the seas. From the river to the seas. From the river to the seas. In our thousands, in our millions. Now these chants we've been hearing louder and louder the last few days, starting for the last week or so. And we hope they're going to get louder and louder and louder, because nobody else is chanting these apart from those who feel the pain of racism, apartheid and oppression that is happening right now to the Palestinian people. This is a time where global censorship is taking hold around the world, and unless we stand and march the way we have, nobody is going to know about the plight of what is happening there. But part of the narrative is to mix it all up and try and say this is between the Jewish and the Muslims. The Jews believe this and the Muslims believe that. What a load of nonsense. In Palestine, you have got Muslim Palestinians, Christian Palestinians, atheist Palestinians. When a missile is dropped, it doesn't ask, excuse me, are you a Muslim or a Christian? It just drops. When it kills children, it kills all children, okay? When they come and kick down people's doors, where they've lived under those houses for generations, they're not asking, hang on, by the way, what's your faith? They don't. So where is all of this narrative about faith versus faith coming from? This is another false narrative. This is why, when we say that Israel is nothing more than a racist endeavor, that's what we mean. What we're saying, let's cut through the rubbish, the rhetoric, which is untrue, and let's look at the reality. The reality is this is racism at its peak. This is apartheid. The apartheid that people think, oh, South Africa, what shame. Shame on you today. Shame on you today, everybody. Say, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. So everyone who tries to justify what's happening in Palestine with narratives which have no semblance in reality at all, no semblance. Now in this country we've all heard the word hostile environment, haven't we? Hostile environment. We've heard how it's been linked to Windrush at the start, and it's our government, not Israel or across the world in some third world country, how England is implementing a hostile environment policy on migrants, children of migrants, people of global majority background. And just to pause, myself and many others, we don't like being called minorities because we are not. We are the majority in the world, hence global majority. Let's say it, global majority. Global majority. Global majority. That's who we really are. We're not a small little minority in the corner. We are the majority. We will not be silenced. We will shout louder because we can. We can shout the loudest because our numbers are the loudest. This is the reality of what the world is going on. And why do I mention hostile environment? Because our government makes out that model Britain is not racist. Our government makes out that we are so perfect. Nobody talks about prevent. Nobody talks about what's happening with all the different policies that they have. And they're all hostile environment. Why do I mention it for this demo today? Because one of the things that has come out of the last few demos that people have said to me is, well, brilliant, you're marching, you're shouting loud, but what do we take away from that as a message? Give us a plan of action. Because without action, this is nothing, right? We need action to get results. So what's the action? One of the actions that I recommend is that we create our own version of hostile environment. A hostile environment for anybody out there who supports racism, anybody out there who supports injustice, anybody out there who supports apartheid. And how do we do that? There's many different techniques. Yes, on social media, in your workplaces, when someone tries to run the narrative of, you know, the victims are the Israelis and all the rest of the Israeli government, we correct them, you know, we tell them no. This is about racism, apartheid, all the rest of it. And then we go further. We need to hit them where it hurts. We need to challenge the narratives in the media, not by trying to control the narratives, because that's hard, but by leading the narrative. And this is where what we say publicly, the way we interact with journalists, get our own journalists on side is so important. As part of the movement, we have to learn the techniques for controlling the media and leading the narrative. And finally, let's hit them where it hurts in their pocket. Let's stop buying anything that is manufactured by them. Let's boycott. The Queen can release a speech making boycott illegal, but we don't care what she says. We're not going to buy into your blood. We're not going to buy into your blood. And that is all I've got to say, people. So free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Thank you. Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
As Atiq has mentioned, the Palestinian struggle is an explicitly anti-racist struggle. We are campaigning against racism within the West Bank, where Palestinians face different laws by virtue of their ethnicity. We are campaigning against the racism of the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians since 1948, since the Nakba. Now, people have said that often when we have Palestine demonstrations, that there are anti-Semites. And I have this to say. It is not anti-Semitic to oppose the racist human rights violations from the state of Israel, in the same sense that no one would say that it's Islamophobic to oppose the human rights abuses of the Saudi Arabian government. And we must push back against this narrative, we must not be silenced, and we must stand for the Palestinian cause. I am delighted to welcome our next speaker, Ahmed Bakker, a Palestinian who will be speaking to us today. Thank you, Ahmed.
Brothers, sisters, friends, comrades, peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
My name is Ahmed, and I am Palestinian. And as a Palestinian, you are born as a refugee or born under occupation. Millions are Palestinians born as refugees, and millions Palestinians living under occupation. And as a refugee, when I was born, I didn't get a passport for my homeland. I got a refugee identity card. Identity card instead of a homeland that entitles me to some monthly rations of sugar, cooking oil and rice. My name is Ahmed, and I am a Palestinian.
Palestine! Nasılsın?
My name is Ahmed and I am a Palestinian.